Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the MylesHighClubPodcast. I'm your host, Miles. This is episode 57. Halloween's over. It's officially the Christmas season. Well, depending on who you are, it might have already been Christmas season, but in the UK anyway, Halloween's over. Unless you're of different religious belief or you believe in some form of religion, whatever the correct way of saying that is, it's officially Christmas season. Halloween decorations are done. You've thrown your costumes away or you've got them on Depop to sell for someone to wear next year. Who knows what you've done. Your pumpkins are probably all now rotting in the garden or out the front, or you've took them to the local park. It's done. It's officially Christmas. Christmas movies are here. The Christmas channels are in full flow. You probably go to the shopping centre or the Christmas music's on. Whether or not you're one of these people that wants to wait till December or wait till Christmas week before it's Christmas to you, listen, if you're a Scrooge, bah humbug and all that, if you're a Grinch, just suck it in because it starts now. But I feel like I should have done this last week. It would have made more sense what I was thinking about it. Like, I know Halloween's done, but who is Halloween for? Growing up, again, you don't realise what adults are doing. So I always thought Halloween was for the kids. I don't know. I don't know anymore. Kids, what do kids do on Halloween? Trick-or-treating. Is trick-or-treating still a thing? No one knocked my door. Two people at the same time. Two people knocked my door and they were dressed in normal clothes wearing a mask. So I didn't go to the door. I literally just stared at them on the Ring camera like, you didn't even make an effort. I'm not getting up. I'll eat the sweets myself. So no one knocked our door. The lights are on and everything. So I don't know if it's my area that I'm in or if trick-or-treating is not a thing anymore. But I didn't see a lot of people doing the trick-or-treating. Costume parties and sweets. I feel like trick-or-treating, costume parties and sweets. And you can probably throw sweets into the trick-or-treating and costume party for kids. Adults, it's just the costumes and alcohol, or costumes and partying, isn't it? And I'm not mad at it because unless you have a eccentric friend that's got a birthday and they feel like doing a fancy dress birthday or like a themed birthday, there's not really an appropriate time for adults to dress up in fancy dress, which is why I'm over people not dressing scary for Halloween. Like, as an adult, there is probably only one time of the year when it's acceptable for you to dress up as whatever you want to dress up as. Whatever you want to dress up as. And that is Halloween. So for adults, I completely get it. You can party all year round, but you can't party in fancy dress all year round. My only quarrel that I have with fancy dress parties is I hate when I see people dress up like celebrities. Or when I see celebrities dress up like other celebrities. Like, I'm just like, it doesn't work for me. And here's what I mean. If, like, Snoop Dogg, why would you dress up as Snoop Dogg for Halloween? 50 Cent, Game, Beyonce and Jay-Z. Like, I see it all the time. It's like such a wide variety of things that you could pick from. Can you not just pick something that's dope and not just go for a celebrity because you're the same colour or you feel like you look like them or anything? But that's it. Rant over. Let's get on with the podcast. First topic. You know what? This first topic, I'm going to attempt to not mention any of my own opinions, and I'm just going to read you the headlines and the stories. So, COVID jabs to become compulsory for NHS staff in England from April. I'm just going to let that sit there. COVID vaccinations will be made compulsory for the NHS. For the NHS's 1.45 million staff in England, despite criticism that forcing frontline personnel to get the jab is heavy-handed and will lead to some to quit. However, the tough new approach will not come into force until April, after Sajid Javid heeded warnings that introducing it soon could lead to an exodus of staff during the winter, the health service's busiest time of year. So, from April next year, so the first thing I saw was, you've got 5 months before. I saw things. NHS staff have got 5 months to get vaccinated before it becomes a forced thing. So let's start with the positives. The positive side of this is if you do work for the NHS and you either don't want the vax, don't want to get the vax yet, or you're anti-vax, you've got 5 months to find a new job. That, I'll applaud that. You have 5 months to get a new job. Now, the reason why you've got 5 months is because they don't want to say, yo, get a jab now, because the winter's coming, worst time of the year. They know a bunch of people are going to quit if you force them to get the vaccination. You don't want them quitting during the winter time. So they're like, you know what? We'll hang on. We'll wait till the spring when everything starts getting warmer and our hospitals and doctors start getting a little less busier. And then we'll force everyone to get the vaccination. It is what it is. The fact that you have so many NHS staff that aren't vaccinated that's a whole nother thing in itself, I think. Like, you work for the NHS, so I'm assuming you believe in the NHS, or at least you believe in helping people. So you'd think they'd all just go and get the vaccination unless there is something, and I'm not diving into a conspiracy here. Everyone has their reasons for not getting the vaccination. Some people for their own health, some people because they don't trust it or trust the government. Some people want more information. Some people, again, there was a report here about the NHS staff is mainly, or it's heavily influenced by women. I think they said it's something like 60 to 70% of NHS staff are women and the rest are all male. The vaccine, when did the vaccine come out? The vaccine came out earlier this year, which means there are people who are pregnant or people who are pregnant and got vaccinated, and there are people who weren't pregnant, got vaccinated, and then became pregnant. So there's a lot of women out there who keep saying to themselves, we don't really want to get the vaccination just yet, because we don't know. Like, no one's had a baby that's had the vax yet, so they're all waiting on stuff to happen. But yeah, there you go. NHS staff forced to get the vaccination. Personally, I don't know how you can force anyone to do anything. It doesn't make sense. The fact that they're even suggesting it's a plan, it's going to happen, but the fact that they're saying to people, yo, when April comes, if you're not vaccinated, you will be fired. I don't understand how that happens. Like, and then that goes on their record. If you just fire someone, can these people get compensation and sue? Because I swear the whole health thing is meant to be like the whole doctor-patient confidentiality thing. You don't have to disclose your health. You don't. I should do more research to find. I always say I should do more research to find out how everyone acted when they introduced the flu jab or when the flu came out and things like that. But that was how many years ago? We now have a more advanced technology. We have more advanced science. So I'm not going to get into that. I'm just saying this is shit, and that's the only opinion I'm going to give. If people don't want to get vaccinated for whatever reason, I don't feel like they should be forced to get vaccinated. If the government really wants to help people or really wants to get more people vaccinated, I feel like the government needs to do something where they say, yo, tell us why you don't want to get vaccinated. And they should just get all the responses from people, and then they should host a press conference or something and address every single point. You sit there for hours in the fucking House of Parliament talking shit. Do this. Some people that saying, I want to wait. What's your response to that? People that are saying I don't trust it, what's your response to that? People saying I don't trust you, as in you, the government, which if I was you, I'd just skip over that question. I wouldn't even respond, asking why people don't trust you, because I feel like you guys know why people don't trust you. But let's move. We'll stick with the government. We'll move off that. COP26, government versus climate can change. If you don't know what the COP26 is, if you haven't seen it, it's all over the news. Literally all over the news and everything. It's the UN Climate Change Conference. So that's what's happening in Glasgow right about now. So I had no idea what this is. So I'm going to read through their goals. This is what the goals are. It's like the climate can change government of the world. Secure global net zero by mid-century and keep 1.5 degrees within reach. So basically, if you don't know what climate change is, what we assume, the two biggest things that get pushed for climate change is 1, rising sea levels, 2, the planet's getting warmer. They want to keep the planet cooler than 1.5 degrees. Apparently it's at 2 degrees now, or it's going to hit and be over 2 degrees, and that's bad. So they're trying to limit this by, I think the main goal is by 2050. So yeah, countries are being asked to come forward with ambitious 2030 emissions reduction targets that align with reaching net zero by the middle of the century, so by 2050. Adapt to protect communities and natural habitats, so rainforests, jungles, things like that. Mobilize finance, so developed countries must make good on their promise to mobilize at least $100 billion in climate finance by year 2020. Well, we're in 2021, so you let me know if you do that. And goal number 4, work together. We can only rise to the challenges of climate crisis by working together. They say this every time I see something on the news about this. It's just people arguing. The French have said you can't trust the Australians. I don't even know if that's about this, but I saw it. French said you can't trust the Australians. England, well, Boris Johnson he's saying one thing. Boris Johnson's basically like, no one believes me and no one will listen to me, so I'm going to get David Attenborough. Because there was a whole thing, there was a picture taken of Boris Johnson not wearing a mask, sat down next to David Attenborough, who is wearing a mask, and everyone was like, hey, mister, you've been telling us all to wear masks, and now here you are in a heavily crowded place and you're not wearing a mask. Again, if these things that the government and government officials do confuses you, maybe you should research more conspiracies. I feel like everyone should research at least 10 conspiracies, whichever 10 you want. Just research 10 conspiracies, and I feel like that would open your eyes just a slight bit more. Because then you'd be thinking, why do people think... You either believe the conspiracies and be like, shit, or you don't believe the conspiracies, and you'd have to ask yourself, why do people think these things? And then you'll end up going down some dark rabbit hole that's eventually going to lead you to the government. It's just fucked. The government is fucked. So... 41 million people are already on the brink of famine, and that number is set to increase with higher temperatures, desertification, and extreme weather events. That is 200 plus million people are in need of international humanitarian assistance each year, in part because of the impacts of climate change. That's like, is it people that go to like Africa and India and different parts of Asia and help rebuild villages, help build watering wells, help set up electricity in schools and hospitals and all sorts of things like that. A lot of people are in need of that. 2/3 of those living in poverty work in agriculture, their livelihoods particularly vulnerable to rising temperatures and changing rainfall patterns. Basically, foreign farmers are fucked. Like I was talking to my friend, because my friend's got a girl, a partner, a situationship with someone who lives abroad, and he went there recently, and her dad's a farmer. And whenever I think of farmer, I always just think of some guy with a couple of sheep, couple of pigs, some horses, some cows, just raising it all, selling all of that to supermarkets and making their money. But then when you go abroad, and some of these people are farming to feed themselves, to feed the village, there is no supermarket, there is no one giving them money so they're not getting their reliance from anyone. It's just them and the animals. So again, climate change, fucking up all of that. 200 million people could be displaced inside their own countries by climate change by 2050 if nothing is done, says the World Bank. Imagine getting displaced in your own... Again, when I say we, people in England / the UK, we are lucky that the most extreme weather condition we ever seem to get is snow, or a really warm day like 2-3 times a year where it's high 20s peaking over to the 30s. That's it. Every now and again there's an earthquake that you'd happily sleep through. Some earthquakes happen, you don't even notice. You'd be wide awake right through that earthquake, and you'd be like, your truck just drive down the road. So we've had 3 tornadoes in the last God knows how long, and it's done minimal damage, no deaths. Meanwhile, there are people abroad getting tore up by all these things. 60% of the countries identified as the most vulnerable to climate change are affected by armed conflict, making it harder for them to mitigate the impacts of a warming planet. And again, you see 60% of those 20 countries. I bet 90% of that 60% are all in an armed conflict due to outside interference, mainly from the US and the UK. I'd put money on it. I'm not a military person. I have no military experience or background. But I would just put money on it whenever there's something fucked happening out there. I'm not just going to go out there and blame white people. I know that it's easy for a lot of black people. I know it's easy for a lot of people just to blame white people, or blame the white man, the straight white man. I'm not going to lie. There probably was a straight white man behind all of this, but I'm not going to blame them. I'm just going to say the US and the UK. I feel like they're responsible for everything being fucked up. And France, Italy, Portugal, and Netherlands. The Dutch are, the Dutch. The Dutch and the French. Do you research in your history on the Dutch and the French? Because they are a piece of fucking work. They are a piece of fucking work as well. But yo, let's move off. We've left Halloween's in the past. Let's forget talking about the government. If you work for the NHS, or you know someone that does work for the NHS, comment on this video and let me know your thoughts. If you're already vaccinated, let me know if you're already vaccinated, let me know your thoughts on what you feel about them forcing people to get vaccinated. Because I know some people that have worked in NHS that have already had the vaccine, and they hint that they were sort of kind of forced into having that vaccine. So if you work for the NHS and you either are or aren't vaccinated, let me know your thoughts on it being compulsory for NHS staff to get the vaccine from April, or lose your job. Just as simple as that. And if you don't plan on getting that vaccine, like I said, you got 5 months, okay? 5 months to find a new job. Good luck. Let's jump into my main topic for today. And let's talk about jumping into the metaverse. So, before I dive in, talk about the metaverse and what all that, you're all probably thinking, what is Meta? If you haven't heard already, Facebook announced that last week it is changing its name to Meta. Now, I got confused because then all over the weekend I kept looking at the Facebook app waiting for this thing to change and nothing happened. So, Facebook, previously, the big company was called Facebook. Facebook then had the subsidiaries. So a subsidiary of Facebook was the Facebook app that we know some people love. Facebook, Messenger, Instagram, WhatsApp. That was all under the Facebook guides. So Facebook's parent company, Facebook, has actually changed its name now to be called Meta. So the parent company will be called Meta. So Facebook is part of Meta. WhatsApp is part of Meta. Instagram is part of Meta. Messenger is part of Meta. It's all part of Meta. So Mark Zuckerberg claimed that the company was branching out and was linked to more than one product, which is why he's done this. So I was like, I need to understand why they've done. I was like, why have they done the name change? Where did this come from? Have they really done it? So let's have a look at some of these things here. So Mark Zuckerberg said the next platform and medium will be even more immersive and embodied internet where you're the experience and not just looking at it. So where you are the experience and you are part of the experience and you're not just looking at it. So the move follows a flood of negative stories about Facebook based on documents leaked by an ex-employee. Charges range from spreading hate speech and misinformation to depressing teenagers' self-esteem. I spoke about this a few weeks ago. Someone came out and whistle blew on Facebook about their lack of security, their deliberate lack of security. So it wasn't like the fact that Facebook's got shit security and they need to do something about it. It was Facebook knows they have shit security. Facebook deliberately has shit security and they're doing nothing with it. And alongside all this, they spread hate speech, they spread hate, they're literally driving a divide amongst people because they know if I show someone something positive or something good, they might like it, but they're not going to talk about it, they're not going to share it, they're not going to spread it around with their friends. Where if I show them something negative, something that I know is going to make them angry from the algorithms, they're going to comment on it. They're probably going to argue with someone, which means constant commenting. They're going to share it and then argue about it amongst their friends and bitch about it. All this means they're spending more time in Facebook instead of looking at something, seeing it and thinking, oh, that's nice, clicking off Facebook and spending their time elsewhere. The second part of this that I also saw, the two theories are, one, clearly this has been something that's been happening for a while in the background. I can't imagine that this whistleblower came out, 2-3 weeks ago, and in that space and time they've come up with all of this. They might have, or it's just great timing. Maybe they weren't going to announce Meta until a year's time, and then all this came out, so it's like, you know what, let's just announce these plans right now and hopefully shifts everyone's focus. So one, everyone thinks that they were doing it to sort of cover up all the bad press they've been getting. Another look into this as well is Facebook's share prices has been falling recently. It's been decreasing. So Mark Zuckerberg also came out and said that because they are changing their name to Meta, this allows them to report on two different parts of the business. So one part of the business is all the family-focused apps. So they'll be able to report on Facebook, WhatsApp, Messenger, Instagram. That'll all be part of one sort of feature. And then they'll be looking at their future plans, which is where Meta's going and everything else. That's a part of it. So when they're having talks with investors or anything like that, you'll be able to see, oh yeah, we're doing, look at this. This is Facebook and it's all on the up and all our numbers are great. Even if it's shitty over here or if it's shitty over there, they can point them to the side like, yeah, look at our future plans. It's all fantastic. And another thing I saw from this is because they're splitting it into two and they're talking about diving into more avenues, this is something that investors and advertisers will be happy with, because advertisers will now be like, oh, even more ways that I can advertise and spread our brand out there. Well done, Facebook. And investors will be looking at this and saying, oh, look, they're building future plans and changing their name. This must mean positive things. So it's all a bunch of things like that. However, it's not so much, the name change is one thing. So the name change to Meta, that's one thing. I spoke about the other week how Facebook, oh, I just literally pulled my whole mic off the table. I need to make sure that don't happen again. So yeah, I spoke about it the other week when we were talking about Facebook's changing its name and trying to compete with things like TikTok and Twitter because they don't have any young people on there. So I first thought, I saw Facebook changing their name to Meta. Read the headline and thought they're changing their name to Meta. Are they doing this to try and go for a whole rebrand and try and draw in more younger people? Yes and no. They're definitely attempting to draw in more younger people with this. But if you didn't see the announcement that Mark Zuckerberg did, I'd suggest going to watch it. I think it's like, there's like a 5-10 minute one where he's explaining like the metaverse and what their future plans are for all of this. So I've written this, I writ it down because I was like, right, what is a metaverse? I've never heard of a metaverse. It's science fiction. And it sounded very familiar to something. So, the metaverse merges virtual and augmented reality technologies to envision a new online realm. So, from what I've been seeing and when I've been looking around, this is very much so Ready Player One. If you've not watched Ready Player One, I personally think it's a great film. Go and watch Ready Player One, and that will explain a metaverse and what the future, oh God, I hope it doesn't, but what the future might look like. The way I understood what Facebook are doing with this metaverse, imagine, depending on how old you are now, imagine Habba Hotel. It's like Habba Hotel, RuneScape, and The Sims. Roll all that into a ball and then add a little sprinkle of virtual reality, and that's exactly what this metaverse is. It's like it's an online world. Best way to explain what this metaverse is going to be. It's an online world with digital and augmented reality. So from the way it looks like it was explained, you'd be sat in your house, you'd put a VR headset on or some sort of smart glasses, and then you would enter the metaverse. Inside the metaverse, you've got your own digital aviator or avatar to make them look how you want. You can dress them up. There's not going to lie, there's probably ways that you'll be able to buy clothes. Mark was talking about how you can game with friends on there, how you can have group chats with people in the metaverse. You can go meet up and hang out with people. You can go to a cinema in the metaverse. You can go to work in the metaverse. And it makes a little bit of sense when you think about what we've had with COVID and how the digital imprint that we all had only grew during COVID because physical interaction was stopped. Like, worldwide, we physically couldn't interact with anyone, so it left us all with digital interactions. This metaverse is taking us to, I was looking at like expert opinions, and most experts are like, it's not a good thing, it's not a bad thing, it's a thing, and it's going to happen. Just like that. So, if you work in an office, COVID may or may not have proven to you and your work that you don't need to come into the office 5 days a week. You might never need to go into the office ever, but you don't want to be sat at home looking at the same walls, same four walls, and then when you finish work, you're still sat in those full same walls. Believe me, that's the current life I live. It's hard to switch off from work, and then when you do switch off from work, I find it very hard to get comfortable because I'm like, I've just been sat on this sofa for 8 hours doing work, and I'm still sat here on this sofa staring at a screen. It just happens to be a different screen that I'm staring at. So now, you're working from home, you wake up in the morning, do what you got to do. You put your virtual reality headset on and you walk into your virtual office space. You're now sat in a virtual office where you can do work. You've shut out the rest of the outside world. You're getting on with your work. You've got colleagues, all your colleagues that you work with, they've all put their headsets on and stepped into their virtual office space. And now you have the ability to go sit in a conference room and go talk and work with a bunch of your colleagues, but you're all at home. Or you can have your own little private space and go off. You just want to hang out with some friends, but you all live in different countries, or I don't know why I'm acting like I'm trying to sell this. You want to hang out with a bunch of friends, you can all hang out together within this metaverse. You can play games together in the metaverse. You can go to work in the metaverse. It's literally Ready Player One. I don't know if you've seen Ready Player One, but that shit is scary. It's amazing, but it's also scary. And this metaverse all starts to make a bit more sense. That I read a story or an article a few weeks ago that was talking about how Facebook is partnering with Bitcoin. So they're partnering with Bitcoin / Facebook are going to start working alongside Bitcoin and maybe other cryptocurrencies moving forward. So when I saw that, I was like, well, why are Facebook going to start doing crypto? And it makes sense because crypto is all about digital assets, okay? Crypto is digital money. So instead of keeping your money in a centralized bank where it's owned by other people and technically you don't own all that money. And what I mean by that is if we all went to the bank today, let's say something, here we go. Let's say if something came out and said, yo, everyone take your money out of the bank. If everyone rushed to the banks to take out their money, there's going to be a lot of upset people when you realize you can't take out the money you thought you had because the bank doesn't actually have all of that money that it says it has. It's just not going to work. So a lot of things are going digital. So all your money, well, not all your money, but your money can now be digital in cryptocurrencies. Assets and art can now become digital thanks to NFTs, non-fungible tokens. They're literally just, it's digital art. It's a one-off digital art piece like that. I'm trying to think what else there is on there. So the games are already digital. All your games are online there, digital. You've already got NFT sort of things online now. So a lot of games you can buy skins so everyone knows what kind of skin you're wearing. This is what it's going to be, but in the metaverse. So people's digital lives are going to start to, in terms of importance, I feel like people's digital lives are going to start to become more important than their actual physical life. Because the way the metaverse is explained, you can spend all your time in there. You literally wake up, eat food, go straight into the metaverse. Go sit in the metaverse and go work for 8 hours in the metaverse, lock yourself off. Finish work, you want to go hang out with some friends, watch a movie, do something fun. You're still within the metaverse. You take all that off, go and eat, jump straight back into the metaverse on there as well. Now you're in the metaverse, it's all digital, you need to buy things. I know, crypto, Bitcoin, different currencies like that. So now I imagine they're incorporating Bitcoin so that you can actually use and spend your Bitcoin within, or your cryptocurrency within the metaverse. I'm assuming that's how you'll buy clothes for yourself. I'm assuming that's how you'll be able to buy and customize your office space and what it looks like, all through Bitcoin, all through cryptocurrencies on there as well. Because what's going to happen is, it's what happens online on games now. You all go on a game, you're all playing together. One of your friends has a really cool skin, everyone else has this exact same skin or the default skin. It's like, oh, I want to look like you. I know. I'm going to spend some money so that I can look cool as well. Listen, I say it all the time. Call of Duty, Fortnite, all of these games where you can buy skins, whether it's a weapon skin, a skin for your character, an accessory for your character. None of them change the way you play. Like, none of these things have an effect on the way you play. There isn't a skin out there that makes you, as far as I'm aware, there's not a skin out there on these games that you can buy that makes you run faster, jump faster, shoot more accurate, take less damage, deal more damage. None of these skins do that. They are all just for appearance, just so you can say, look at me, look what I've got. That's what's going to happen in this virtual world, in this metaverse, just like it does in the real world. You're going to jump in there and go to your office space, then you'll see someone's got a waterfall out their window, or they've got a better looking office space than you, and now you need money, so you have to go and get some Bitcoin, or however it's going to work. This metaverse to me is, oh, it's scary. Now they're saying it's not something that's going to happen overnight. Like, this isn't going to drop in the next few years. They reckon it's like a 10 to 15 year sort of plan, where it's going to take a lot of time to first build up the metaverse, then get people in the metaverse and make sure everyone feels safe and trustworthy inside of this metaverse. I think this shit is crazy. Like I said, if you haven't seen Ready Player One is it's the exact same sort of thing. I mean, they live in what looks like a dystopian world where they've got like little shacks just stacked on top of each other, and that's what people live in. There are people living in what we would call like a trailer. They're living in like dusty, broken down trailers. Meanwhile, they're spending all their money on like this trackpad machine that you can move without physically moving in the real world. There's trackpad machines that you can jump on. People are playing games to earn their money, to then use that money to then buy things. You can buy things. I'm Ready Player One. They were buying things like weapons and all sorts. You'd play games to earn credits, to then spend all these credits in the games to buy things in the game for different games. You then have the ability to buy things in the real world to help you with the game. So in Ready Player One of them buys like this haptic bodysuit, so that when you get shot in the game, you feel that in real life, like you're actually being shot. Why you would want to do that, I don't know. Like, I get pissed off sometimes playing shooting games and my controller's vibrating. I'm like, shit, I can't hold it fucking steady from it. But I digress. There's one guy that's playing this game. He's at work. It looks like he's at work. He's working in an office. He's playing the game. And then he dies in the game and loses all of his money. And then he just takes the headset off and runs and jumps out the window and commits suicide. Because of a game. Like, this metaverse is going to be mad. They need to do what he talks about. Because again, if you haven't seen Ready Player One glorifies, personally to me, it glorifies a metaverse. So it does, there are some negative bits that it shows you. So for example, you've got the metaverse. So Facebook have this metaverse. You then have a company that was paying for space in the metaverse that they could advertise. So now every time you put your headset on, instead of having 100% clear view, you'd have 80% clear view, and then 20% of your view would be obstructed by ads. And there was one guy, he's talking about how you can obstruct, I think he's saying you can obstruct up to something like 70% of the screen with ads before you induce like seizures and shit in people. So imagine that, you'll jump in the metaverse, but then everywhere you look, you'll permanently see advertisements because someone's paid to have their advertisement personally in the metaverse, and you can't look anywhere without seeing it. People were being killed for this as well. Like, there were people that were in the metaverse playing games that were trying to kill people in the real world because of the games and because they wanted to take control. Like I said, people committing suicide and going towards violence because they lost their money or they were losing credits in the game, and they probably didn't have a good job in the outside world, so they spent all their time in the game to build up credits just to spend in the game as well. It's crazy. And a lot of people don't care about this or won't care about this because when you think about virtual reality, augmented reality, a metaverse, everyone always thinks of gaming. So if you think to yourself, oh, I don't play games, I don't do anything like that, you'll tell yourself, I don't care about this metaverse, it's not going to affect me. Like I said, work. If you work in an office, going to work, you may no longer be required to go in the office. You might be able to sit at home. Microsoft are jumping onto this metaverse thing as well, and they're trying to build their own. Now on Teams, which they said they're going to start rolling out from next year, on Teams they've introduced 3D avatars. So now when you sit on Teams, instead of it being you can have your customized 3D avatar with your avatar background, avatar clothes, sitting in on that call. But your voice and you talking, but they won't see you. They will see the avatar that you've created. Which this avatar you can then probably take and then put into a bigger world later on in life. But like I said, in the office, you want to go to the doctors, put it on, go see a virtual doctor, go sit down and actually talk to someone and look at someone who's responding to you because you can't actually go out there. You want to go shopping, online shopping in the metaverse won't be you flicking through a browser to look at it. It'll be your avatar walking through an actual metaverse mall, a meta mall, walking into these different shops, picking up trainers, seeing what they look like from all angles, trying on listen, the metaverse is going to do things where if you go shopping in the metaverse, you can buy an Adidas hoodie that will come to you in the real world, but then you spend an extra £5 or an extra £10. Not only do you get the real world version, your avatar can get the same sort of hoodie as well. These things, I'm telling you, these things are going to happen. You'll buy furniture, you'll go furniture shopping, you can buy a sofa for your living room and a sofa for your virtual room. I feel like I'm getting into this way too much. It's so interesting. Like, the whole thing of this to me was really, really, really interesting. And I only reason why I'm talking about it so much. Let me see what I'm trying to look at. What other things? I'm trying to see if there's anything else of people talking. So you got people here. Meta. This is what tech experts have been saying. Meta has been in the works for years, but the timing of the rebranding was likely not a coincidence. I don't think it was the best time to rebrand, as its timings relative to the congressional hearings and the bad press make it look like a PR play to pivot away from a tarnished Facebook brand. This is what I spoke about at the start. So again, that confirms what I was thinking. They've probably been working on this for years, because you can't just drop something like this in 3 weeks. They've probably been working on it for years. They probably weren't going to mention anything anytime soon, but with all this bad press and their decrease in stocks going and shares going down, they probably said to themselves, you know what, let's spark the rebrand now. Hopefully this will get people talking more about the rebrand and less about our security issues and how we target 13-year-old girls with anorexia posts. As a lot of people are saying, I suspect he understands the product life cycle now shorter than ever, and when the company outlined a strategy for Facebook just didn't work, he knew it wasn't working years ago. This launch feels rushed to me. I'd see this more of a restructure than a rebrand. The Facebook brand isn't going away. This, in a large part, is protection for Zuck. Yes, it's a good spin for the company to be pointed towards the metaverse, but hardly required to facilitate an investment. So there you go. If you didn't know, hopefully now you know. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, they ain't going anywhere. The parent company has now changed its name. Instagram, who knows? Instagram might be an art gallery in the metaverse. You might just walk into a big building called Instagram and you just walk past looking at all the posts, tapping on these posts. You could probably enter a post room, which will now be the comment section. You can just start talking to people about the picture. Ugh. My head is taking this all sorts of places. Again, here we go. So this is what Mark Zuckerberg said in a founder's letter that was sent out on the 28th of October to all Facebook staff. Right now, our brand is so tightly linked to one product, Facebook, that it possibly can't represent everything that we are doing today, let alone in the future. Over time, I hope we are seen as a metaverse company, and I want to anchor our work and our identity on what we're building towards. We just announced that we're making a fundamental change to our company. We're now looking at and reporting on our business as two different segments. This is what I mentioned earlier. One for our family of apps, one for our work on future platforms. Our work on the metaverse is not just one of these segments. The metaverse encompasses both the social experiences and future technology. As we broaden our vision, it's time for us to adopt a new brand. Take that as you will, but the metaverse is on its way. Like I said, it's probably not going to get here for another 10 years or anything like that. But just be prepared, guys. Start looking into crypto. Start looking into crypto now if you're not already. Everything just seems to start going to more and more to the crypto way. Don't be one of those people to be the last to jump on. Even, look, I'm not not a financial advisor. I'm not telling anyone here to buy crypto, to invest in crypto, to invest in shares or anything like that. I'm just saying, up your knowledge. Go and read about Bitcoin. Go and read about cryptocurrencies. Just go and understand what they are. Go and understand why they are. Go look at decentralization. Go look at people talking about decentralizing banks. Just get an understanding of what's happening, because I was talking to my friends about this a few weeks ago. If you had said Bitcoin to me 15 years ago, if you said Bitcoin to me, probably look at you funny like, I have no idea what that is. If you said Bitcoin to me 5-10 years ago, I would have said, isn't Bitcoin the online currency that people use on the dark web? The first and only time I'd ever heard of Bitcoin was all about the dark web. Because I used to hear about things on the dark web and people used to buy certain things off the dark web. And I was like, how do you buy things off the dark web? Is it not tracked or traced or anything? So I go, no, you use Bitcoin. It's like online money. That's how I heard it. Bitcoin is online money, and you can use this to pay for all your things on the dark web. And now here we are, so many years later. There are countries out there that have their own national Bitcoin. Facebook is getting interested in Bitcoin. More and more places are starting to take in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So just do your research, guys, and let's go find out. What else are Facebook in the news for? Facebook in the news for something else. Oh, yeah, Facebook are shutting down their facial recognition. So if you're on Facebook, if you're not on Facebook, there was an option before that came in about you opting in to something called FacePrint. So FacePrint or facial recognition is when the Facebook scanned a faceprint of the user and used it to find photos and videos of them on the platform and suggested tagging them. So for example, if you've ever uploaded a picture to Facebook, sometimes it would hover over that picture with like a transparent-ish kind of square, and then it'd be like, suggestions, is this such and such? And it's because that person's opted in, took a picture, uploaded it onto Facebook, Facebook scanned their face, which meant if anyone anywhere around the world uploaded a picture of either you or someone that looked just like you, Facebook would pop up with a suggestion to tag this person because it's that person. However, Facebook have come out and said, while facial recognition technology is a powerful tool to verify identity, it needs stronger privacy and transparency controls to let people limit how their faces are used. It's noted there were many concerns about the place of facial recognition technology in society, with regulators still playing catch up. So it is regulated, but it's not regulated effectively. And again, like I said, you can't limit to how your face is used. So if someone in Africa looks like you and took a picture of you and uploaded that picture, they could tag you, or it would pop up saying tag yourself in this picture. There's no way of stopping anything like that. Maybe you only want it to pop up if your friends tag you, if family members tag you, if certain people tag you, or you don't want it at all. So now that's now being removed. So anyone here that still uses Facebook, I don't know who uses Facebook anymore. My auntie is active on Facebook, and she is also plus 40, and that's literally what I assume. Only people over the age of 40 are using Facebook actively anyway. Let's move on to what's on the box. There was no more topics. I really wanted to talk about. Alec Baldwin and his family came under fire and scrutiny because they posted a Halloween picture. And people were saying, we're not saying don't celebrate Halloween. We're just saying don't upload a picture of your family looking happy a week after you killed someone. Even though I've already said I personally don't feel like he should be held responsible for it, because there are other people in charge. More than one person should be in charge before he, the actor, gets the gun and presses the trigger. Little Mix and Jesse Nelson I don't know. Are they going back and forth? Is it a subliminal back and forth? They keep coming at the Little Mix have come out and spoke about blackfishing now. Jessie said that she doesn't really talk to the girls. Yeah. There we go. So let's talk about what's on the box, the weekly segment where I talk about what movies, TV shows, trailers, anything film, movie, TV show related has come out. This week, they dropped the Morbius trailer. Now, the Morbius trailer is Marvel. It's a Marvel vampire. I don't know much about Morbius apart from he's a Marvel vampire. That's all I know. I didn't see Blade in the advert, but I feel like a Morbius Blade movie is what I need. It's done by Sony, so yes, it is Marvel, but Morbius is one of these characters that's owned by Sony, just like Deadpool, just like Spider-Man. So it's a Sony film. It's not an MCU film, even though there were a few Easter eggs in there that tied him to Spider-Man and other Spider-Man characters. But this trailer looked dope. It was like a 3-minute long trailer. This trailer looked fantastic. I can't wait to see this movie. My only reservations I have is it's Sony. I'm not saying Sony don't make good movies, but if we look at the Sony, especially the Sony Marvel movies, you've got Spider-Man Far From Home, but that was influenced. Far From Home and No Way Home were both heavily influenced by MCU, by Disney, so I don't count them because they were fantastic films. Deadpool 1 was all Sony, and Deadpool 1's a fucking great film. One of the better superhero movies of all time. Deadpool 2 was good, but I feel like it was just a rerun of Deadpool 1 with different characters, but it's still a good one. And then there's Venom. The first Venom was okay. I enjoyed the first Venom, even though you can't see anything when the fight scenes happen. The second Venom was pants. I've already come on here and spoke about the second Venom being pants. Pants. Skid mark pants. That's what Venom 2 was. Skid mark pants. Terrible. But no, I can't wait for this. I didn't look. Hold on, should we see when it's out? Let me do my job. I'm not being paid for this, but let me do it properly to see when Morbius is coming out. 2022. I can just see 28th of January 2022, so the start of next year. Biochemist Michael Morbius tries to cure himself of a rare blood disease, but when his experiment goes wrong, he inadvertently infects himself with a form of vampirism instead. And that's exactly what it looks like. He's a doctor. He's ill. He has some sort of disease. He's trying to fix his disease and help other people with this disease. He goes somewhere, puts his hand through something, a bunch of bats happen. He then gets stronger. He gets faster. He gets some sort of bat sonar. Like I said, go and watch the trailer. This trailer sold it for me. If I just saw this was a standard Sony movie, probably wouldn't have watched it. This trailer sold it for me. And moving off the trailer, it's been a minute since I spoke about a Netflix original film TV show. And this one was The Harder They Fall. Now, some of you might roll your eyes out there. Let me just tell you this now. If I see a movie or TV show that is all black casts or a predominantly black cast and it doesn't involve slavery or black trauma, which normally is slavery, I am in. Jingle Jangle, still one of the best Christmas movies I think I've seen in recent times. That was a predominantly, if not all black cast, apart from the one white guy that I think of that runs the bank, and there's a white police officer as well. Jingle Jangle was fantastic. All black cast, Forrest Whitaker starred in it. Great. The Harder They Fall, it took two things that I enjoy watching. A Western, I don't like watching those old Westerns. Whenever I see those old Westerns, I tell myself everyone in that cast is racist, and if a black person was to walk into that town, they'd be hung immediately. Sorry, it's just the way that I think. So it was a Western mixed with an all-black cast. So now I've got an all-black Western, something I've never seen before. The closest I've ever got to an all-black Western, or even a black Western, was Wild Wild West with Will Smith. And I've already explained to you that's a guilty pleasure film. I know, listen, before you comment, I know Wild Wild West is a bad film. It's terrible. But it's so terrible, it's good to me. And I enjoy it every single time that I watch it. But The Harder They Fall. First of all, this cast in The Harder They Fall. I keep talking about casting. This cast was fucking amazing. Idris Elba, Zazie Beetz, Regina King, Jonathan Majors, Lakeith Stanfield, RJ Kyler, Delroy Lindo, Eddie Gaffey, Dion Cole. There was so many just great. Damon Wayans Jr. I'm trying to think. There were plenty of big names that I'm just missing off, but there were so many dope actors. And this movie, just over 2 hours long. It's a Netflix original. It came out on Wednesday, so it came out yesterday. I watched it last night. It's a dope movie. I think I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. I would have given it a 4 out of 5, but there was the ending. So, I'll try it right. First of all, if you want to know what it is, no spoilers at this point. So, no spoilers. I'm going to tell you what this film is. This film is a black Western. It's about an outlaw that kills this little boy's parents and then scars his forehead and then gets arrested. This little kid grows up to be an outlaw, but he's an outlaw that robs other outlaws. So outlaws rob banks and then he robs them. He then made it his life goal to go and wipe out everyone that was part of the gang that originally killed his parents and did that to him. He does all this. He then finds out that the person that killed his parents and gave him that mark on his head has been released from prison and pardoned for all of his crimes. A story of revenge ensues. Spoilers. I'll try not to spoil the whole film now, but I am going to talk about certain bits. This movie was great. Jonathan Majors as the good guy, even though he's an outlaw, as the good guy, fantastic. Idris Elba as the bad guy. Idris Elba is dope in anything. Regina King as the strong black woman that Idris ain't my boss. I don't know who keeps telling you guys this. This is me. It's me. It's Treacherous Trudy. I run shit. You guys know this. I think they did a great job representing women. There's not that many women in it, but the women that are in it, they do a great job. You've got Stagecoach Mary, played by Zazie Beetz. She runs her own saloon and has a few saloons. She's also got Cuffy, who's a smaller black woman. She's like the door person. And she anyone that walks in, she's like, hey, yo, check your gun belt. No guns inside, only Mary. So basically, in this saloon, men can't bring in guns. Only women are allowed to have guns on them for their own safety and protection. And yo, she has hands. These two black boys, these two Negroes, as they get called all the time, go to walk in. She says, check your weapons. They go to walk past her, and she's like, Yo, pick them up, take them to the sheriff's office. They can get their guns when they leave town. Thank you very much. Come again. They're dope. Treacherous Trudy, she's like, she might be the boss lady. She's dope in it. Like, everything about it is dope. I don't want to talk about the film because I'll give stuff away, and I feel like you should just all go and watch this black cowboy western. I don't know what else you need to know for me to sell this. It's a black cowboy western where Jonathan Majors is the good guy. If you don't know who Jonathan Majors is, if you watch the Loki, he's the black guy that came in right at the end. He's who's playing Kang. He's playing the new big bad in Marvel Avengers. You've got him as the good guy. You've got Idris Elba as the bad guy. The surrounding cast, them two as the leads, fantastic. Their surrounding cast, absolutely bang on. If you've seen Power Rangers, so if you've seen X-Men, there's a black guy in one of the newer X-Men movies that can absorb people's powers and give it back to them. He's in this as one of the outlaws for the good guys. If you've seen Power Rangers, the black Power Ranger, well, the blue Power Ranger that's black, he's in this as just like a talkative little kid. Well, he's not a kid, but he's an outlaw, but he's a kid, he's young. He's talking about it. Dion Cole, comedian Dion Cole, he's in it. His character is just his character. He's a nice little comedy relief. But this film, there's not too much comedy relief. Don't get me wrong, it's funny in places, but they don't act like they don't try and be a comedy, I don't think. It's definitely more of an action. It's more of an action. I don't normally do actions, but I saw all the black faces and it got me in it. There's one scene which only happens because it was an all black movie. If this was a white movie, it wouldn't have gone down like this. But they literally pulls over the train, you get someone on the train, and this train driver was like, what are you Goosh! Bang! As soon as he says nah, even the subtitles come up N-I ... because Trudy smokes his ass. And the guy with her looks at Trudy and goes, you do know he could have said nincompoops. And she looks at him and she's like, we ain't no nincompoops. And that's not what he was going to say. Listen, if any of them say anything that even starts with the word N, smoke for them. Loved it. That was a white movie. He would have called her a nigger 10,000 times and then died at the end of the movie as retribution. Nah, not in this. Boom. Get your ass smoked. And the way they deal with race, most westerns, it's just white. There's white people everywhere. You might see the occasional black person somewhere. This whole thing is just, there are black towns. Redwood, the main city it's in, and a different one. They're all black towns. They have a white town. The way they show you it's a white town. They tell you this place, Marysville, they tell you it's a white town. When it comes up, so Redwood comes up on the screen at one point, Redwood in red. Marysville comes up in white. All the buildings are white. The floor is white. Everyone, like, everything is white. If you didn't know that this was a white town from the name Marysville, soon as you get there, oh, everything's white. This is the white of whitest towns. Because there's a scene where Cuffy walks into a bank. Oh, you know what? I'm giving away the plot. I don't want to give away the plot. As you can see, I'm just rambling, talking about different bits of this. The action is dope. The story, 90 to 95% of the story is dope. Look, I ain't going to talk about anything else. The podcast is going to end after this. If you don't want me to ruin the twist at the end of The Harder They Fall, switch off now. Thank you for listening. Like, comment, share, subscribe. All of that. Click off. If you're still here, I assume you want to hear what I think about that little twist ending. So, as Idris is explaining the twist, I was like, I even looked at my boy that was with me, Jack. I was like, didn't need that twist. I was like, this story was perfectly fine without that twist. So, Idris's character kills John Major's character. So Nat is killed by Rufus Buck. Rufus Buck is Idris. Nat is John. Remember that. Rufus Buck walks into this shack at the very start of the movie. Nat's dad sees him. He's like, oh God. Rufus sits down. His dad sits down. Rufus pulls out 2 pistols, points one at Nat as a boy, one at the mom. He says, leave the boy out of this. Points the 2 guns at his girlfriend, blows his wife's head off. Points the guns at his dad, blows his mom's head off, blows his dad's head off. Some guy grabs Nat, holds him down. Idris scars his head. You then find out later on, he tells him, he's like, you know why I gave you the scar? And he was like, to remind me of who you were. He's like, no. He's like, I gave you the scar so I could recognize your face when you came back to find me. And I was like, oh shit. So then later on, right at the end of the film, Nat starts telling his story about how he was raised. So Nat's telling the story, no, Rufus' book, Idris is telling the story how he was raised. So Idris is talking about how when he was a kid, his dad used to beat up his mom. And then one day Idris tried to stick up for his mom. So then his dad started beating him. And then his mom cut him with a bottle one day to save her son. And then he ended up beating her so bad he killed her. He then just takes everything and leaves Rufus' book. Leaves Rufus' book with his dead mom. He then goes somewhere else and starts a new life with a new family and changes his name to Love. Now, as all this is happening, you start to realise Rufus' book was 10 years old. His dad left him. When his dad left him and started a new relationship, became a man of God. Nat's dad was a priest. Got a new woman. Changed his name to Love. Changed his name from Book to Love. Nat's last name is Love. He's there shaking his head. He's like shaking his head. So it turns out that Nat and Rufus are half brothers. The man Rufus killed was Rufus's dad, who also happened to be Nat's dad. So Idris's dad abused him and his mom, ended up killing his mom, ran away, changed his name and everything. Rufus spent all the time looking for him and finally found him. And when he found him, he had settled down with a new family. Why he killed his mom, I'm not too sure. That was just a ghetto thing to do. Like, he killed the mom. There you go. He killed his dad because, you killed my mom. And then you killed my mom and left me. I was always going to get vengeance on you. Killed him. The reason why he didn't kill Nat is because Nat was his brother and he couldn't kill his brother. Nat starts crying at the end of the movie, ends up shooting him like 3 times, empties the whole fucking revolver into him. Twofold. One, I felt like I didn't need that twist because it came out of nowhere, which technically a good twist should. A good twist should come out of nowhere. Nothing in that film should have led. Nothing in the film does. Like, as I said, it would have been helpful if, like, Nat had maybe asked the question at some point of why didn't you kill me? To, like, sow the seeds, but then that might have given it away. If he says, why didn't you kill him? Then you'd be sat there thinking, why didn't Nat kill him, I wonder? Because you don't, like, until this point in time, all we know is Rufus' book killed his dad. We know his dad knew who Rufus was when he walked in. And we know that Nat avenged to kill the man that killed his dad. That's all we know. So I was like, this was a perfectly good revenge story. You killed my mom. You killed my dad. I killed your gang that was with you. Like, at the start of the movie, someone holds Nat down with a scorpion on his hand while Idris does the cross on his head. It then skips to the next scene, 20, 30 years later, however long it is, and then Nat's in a church and he catches the priest, the scorpion, who held him down, gets his revenge on him. He wipes out his whole team apart from, like, a couple of people he hasn't wiped out. He then finds out Rufus' book has escaped, has been let out from prison, so he's like, Rufus has to die. I'm going to kill him. Nothing wrong with that story. To me, it didn't need the brother twist. Jack thought it added something and it added a bit more reasoning to why everything was going on. It added a bit more reasoning as to why Rufus didn't kill him. That, I understand. There's no explanation as to why Rufus didn't kill the child. The only explanation I thought in my head was he doesn't kill children. He kills women, but doesn't kill children. That's all I could think of in my head is he doesn't kill children. But no, turns out the reason why I didn't kill him is because that was his brother. Simple as that. It was just meh. Just the twist. The twist was meh. The rest of the movie is dope. I seriously suggest everyone goes to watch it. It's on Netflix. The Harder They Fall. Oh, it's just black people being amazing. I loved it. I loved it. But that brings me to the end of another episode of the Miles High Club Miles High Club podcast. I've been Miles. You've been listening. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, comment, all of that. All the things that all these algorithms ask me for. Until the next time, Peace.